Hey guys, I have something really cool to share with you today, and I've been wanting to put this video together for about 5 years, but wasn't able to do it until just a couple of weeks ago, so I'm super excited to be able to share it with you today. And what it is the complete catalog of Studio Ghibli films released on Blu-ray in Japan, in what collectors lovingly refer to as the Silhouette series. Ghibli's been releasing these Silhouette series discs at a drip feed since summer 2010, starting with Hayao Miyazaki's pre-Ghibli film Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind on July 14, 2010, and culminating in the little-known 1993 TV movie The Ocean Waves, which they just released on July 17, 2015, so almost exactly 5 years. Now, Studio Ghibli does not currently have any feature-length film scheduled for production, so this may very well end up being their complete catalog. And while it would be a real shame if they stopped making movies, they have probably the most consistent catalog of films of any movie studio, animated or otherwise, so if you haven't heard of any of these movies, I highly recommend literally any of them. Seriously, they are all wonderful. Okay, let's take a look at the collection. Okay, the first thing I want to show you is just my complete collection, just because it looks so great on the shelf. You'll see the Silhouette series releases in the middle, along with a couple of box sets on each end, and there's some extra discs up top there. A lot of the box set releases are duplicate films, but I'll get into that in a little bit. But for now, I just kind of want to show you, how great these look up on the shelf. I have these arranged in the order of my favorite to least favorite. So my favorite Studio Ghibli film is actually The Tale of the Princess Kaguya, followed by Princess Mononoke, Only Yesterday, Kiki's Delivery Service, and then Ocean Waves. And then there's, several films in the middle here that I'm sure you collectors or fans will recognize. And then way at the very end, there's some of my least favorites, which include Castle in the Sky, Pom Poko, Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind, and what I consider to be Miyazaki's worst film by far, which is Howls Moving Castle. And then there's a documentary at the end, which is not part of the series, which is called The Kingdom of Dreams and Madness. Highly recommend that. If you wanted to know a little bit about what film production at Studio Ghibli is like. But yeah, let's take a look at the individual releases now. Okay, so I guess just going from the top, the first one we have here is Lupin III, The Castle of Cagliostro. This is Miyazaki's first feature-length film. It's not actually a Ghibli movie. It was distributed by Toho in 1979, but Ghibli licensed the film just because it was really the only movie they don't have the rights to, and they wanted to be able to put his entire catalog in this series. So that's Lupin III, Castle of Cagliostro. One of my favorites, not in my top 5 or anything, but a great film. Check it out if you haven't seen it. This is Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. This is actually the movie that led to the creation of Studio Ghibli. Now this movie, this release is actually the first one that came out, as I mentioned earlier. It's thicker than all the other ones. As you can see, it's like double thickness. I guess they just hadn't figured out exactly what the format was going to be. I don't have the bag for this yet, or anymore. So I'll just kind of open this one, because it's the only one that's easy to open, show you the inside. The disc art mirrors kind of the outside package. It's really nice looking, really simple, really iconic. And then there's some extra things in here, some paperwork about the movie, some Disney catalog stuff, because Disney actually distributes these. And then in this release specifically, there's like a little guidebook for the film. I think it's probably a reproduction of something that was distributed in theaters when the movie came out. I could be wrong about that. It's a cool little thing to have. Unfortunately, none of the other releases have that. The other thing that these all have on them is this info sheet on the back. Now, Nausicaa's is see-through, and you can see that when I stuck it on the back here, it kind of is a little bubbly looking and not super attractive, but that's what you get. The next one is Castle in the Sky. This is the first proper Studio Ghibli film. As you can see, the info sheet on the back is a more solid color to match the cases. It's really nice looking. Now the baggies that come with these Blu-rays actually have these info sheets stuck on the back of them. I got rid of most of those bags just because it's a pain in the butt to get them in and out whenever I want to watch the movie. So you can probably tell, but I actually removed the info sheet from the plastic bag and stuck it on the outside of the case. And this is actually, it's like a replacement bag, which is actually, I think, a little bit nicer than the ones that Studio Ghibli ships these in. This one is Grave of the Fireflies, which is an Isao Takahata film. I'm probably just going to gush about every single film, but I can't recommend this movie enough, though don't show it to kids. It's a very serious war drama. It's pretty painful to watch, but it's also quite a beautiful film. Check it out. Everybody knows My Neighbor Totoro. This was actually released as a companion film to Grave of the Fireflies in Japan. Again, just one of the ones that everybody knows, one of Hayao Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli's most famous films. Kiki's Delivery Service, another one of those that everybody knows and loves. A brilliant film. It's my second favorite Hayao Miyazaki film. Next you have Only Yesterday. This is actually my second favorite Isao Takahata film. It's about a woman who lives in Tokyo and for her summer vacation or her summer holiday, whatever you want to call it, goes and lives and works in a farming community to, I guess, reconnect with herself. I don't know, a lot of you live in the city, but I live in New York City, and it can be a little difficult to keep track of your sense of who you are in a place like this, so yeah, this is just a great film about that, and peppered with a lot of nostalgia for her childhood. This movie makes me cry at the end every time, and I always forget about the part that makes me cry until I get to the very end, and then I'm crying, and I'm like, ah, damn it. Pretty funny. Pretty funny anecdote. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just... You want to see the next movie. Okay. This is Porco Rosso. A lot of people think this is one of Miyazaki's lesser films, but it's just really a great, fun action movie all the way through, about a World War I flying ace who's been turned into a pig. And that's really all you need to know about it. It's fantastic. Okay, then you have The Ocean Waves, which is actually the only feature-length Studio Ghibli film not to be released in theaters. This was released in 1993, made for TV, directed by Tomomi Mochizuki. It's the only Ghibli film directed by Mochizuki. I don't know exactly the reason why, or I don't know at all, actually, the reason why Mochizuki did not continue working with the studio, but I certainly love this movie. It's one of their neo-realist films. It's just basically about a high school love triangle, and yeah, it's great. This is one of the only ones I have the original bag for still. I don't know if you can tell, but if you look at the adhesive on that, it's just kind of, it gets really gross and peels, and it's hard to manage, and that's actually why I got rid of these bags originally. This is a little, I don't know, it's less crinkly sounding than the replacement bags I got for the rest of them, but I don't know, whatever. Some people keep them, most people keep them, most collectors keep them, I didn't, and maybe I'm regretting it, I don't know. Anyway, great film, The Ocean Waves. This was also the final one released in the collection. Next up is Pom Poko. This is my least favorite Isao Takahata movie. Now, just a little disclaimer on that. When I say least favorite on any of these movies, it's not that any of them are bad at all. They're all great, as I mentioned earlier. Some movies I just like more than others, except for, I think, like Howls Moving Castle, which is just really difficult for me to get into. But this movie is just, it's hard to stay with, because it's long, it's about a very serious subject, which is deforestation, but, it's presented in a humorous way sometimes, but it's so long, and, yeah, I've rarely been able to sit through this entire movie. That said, when I do sit through the entire movie, I'm very glad I did. It's just, it's a very rewarding film, if you can make it all the way through it. And also, if you want to see raccoons using their nuts to transform into things, this is your movie. Okay, I don't know why I stuck Cat Returns down there, but we'll just move on to the next one, which is Whisper of the Heart. This was the only Ghibli film directed by Yoshifumi Kondo, who unfortunately died shortly after the film came out, which is a shame because it's a wonderful film, and I think this is one of these younger directors they were grooming to take over the studio eventually, or I guess to be sort of at the vanguard of the new generation of directors. Unfortunately, obviously that didn't work out, but it is a wonderful film that I think everybody should see. Here's my favorite Hayao Miyazaki movie. I saw this in theaters when it came out in the US, which I think was like probably 1998. This was the first Studio Ghibli movie I saw. I saw it in the English dub. and I love that dub. I love a lot of those actors. Billy Crudup is one of my favorite actors. I know a lot of purists will not. A lot of purists, I guess, tend to completely dismiss the English dubs on any of these releases. I think it's a little unfair. Most of them are actually really well done. That said, I do prefer the original language track on almost all these movies. This is one notable exception where, just because I've seen it in English so many times, I've only seen it in Japanese a couple times, and usually if I try to put it on at home in Japanese, I need to hear the voices that I know and love, so I usually switch over to the English dub. But yeah, I think everybody knows this movie. It's the most violent Miyazaki movie. That's not why it's my favorite. It's just a beautiful film. One of the composer Joe Hisaishi's best scores. I think second only to The Tale of the Princess Kaguya. So yeah, the two princess movies are my two favorite Studio Ghibli films. Next is My Neighbors the Yamadas. This is another wonderful Isao Takahata film. It's unlike anything else that Studio Ghibli has done. It's kind of like an animated comic strip about a family and sort of everyday family life, and just values and lessons that you learn being part of a family. Family, marriage, children, growing old. Yeah, just a hilarious movie and really heartfelt and wonderful. Spirited Away. I don't think I really need to say anything about this. This is the movie that made Hayao Miyazaki a household name in the US and sort of kickstarted Disney's involvement with creating dubs for the movies and distributing them in the US. And they had a pretty good run. They stopped, I think, with Ponyo, maybe Arrietty. I think Arrietty was their last Disney dub. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but anyway, everybody knows this film. It's great. It's not my favorite. Oh, and this one is all black. I don't know if you can tell because of my light, but it's pretty cool. This is another Studio Ghibli movie. I think this is really the least good. The worst is harsh because it's a good, fun movie, but it's definitely the least good of all Studio Ghibli films. This one was directed by Hiroyuki Morita. It's sort of a sequel to Whisper of the Heart. This one actually has, I think it's actually pronounced Ghiblis in this case, Ghiblis Episode 2, which is a short film about a staff at an animation studio, just kind of what they do on their lunch hour, and it's pretty funny. I do have the info sheet for this. I just didn't put it on the back of this because I didn't want to cover up the face of the guy there, just because it's funny, first of all, and also I think that's supposed to be Studio Ghibli's lawyer. It's a caricature of him. I don't remember his name. I'm not that big of a fan. I'm a big fan, but why would I know the name of their lawyer? Okay, Howl's Moving Castle. So again, this is my least favorite Hayao Miyazaki movie. I know it's a lot of people's favorites. This movie, it's got a lot of fun, whimsical things. It's definitely got a beautiful score. The animation is incredible. There's things that you'll see in this that you never thought you'd see. Just a great insight into Miyazaki's mind. However, I just don't think the plot comes together very well. It's hard to watch as a movie. It's more like, to me, it's a series of vignettes that I just don't think work together all that well. That said, I do have like a special attachment to this movie in a way because this was when I first realized like I wanted to see Studio Ghibli films as they were coming out in Japan. So I was like downloading bootlegs from the internet that didn't have subtitles. And with this one, I actually had found a French subtitle track to watch with like a crappy bootleg, and I put the French subtitle track through Google Translate, got like a really crappy rudimentary English subtitle script, and then I cleaned it up and showed it to my friends, and it was pretty cool to be able to do that. I do work in publishing now, so this is like what I do professionally, so it probably wasn't as lame as you think, but it's probably not as good as my memory serves. But anyway, there's Howl's Moving Castle. Tales from Earthsea is the first Ghibli film directed by Miyazaki-san's son, Goro Miyazaki. I actually quite like this movie. The score is by far the best part about it. It's a little slow, but it's a decent fantasy film. Though this movie actually caused a lot of strife between Hayao Miyazaki and Goro Miyazaki. There are a lot of accusations against Goro Miyazaki that he just copied all of his father's ideas and that there's nothing original about this movie. And, you know, whether or not that's the case, I guess you will have to determine for yourself. Check it out if you see it around somewhere. It's a good movie. Ponyo on the Cliff by the Sea. This movie is just fantastic, and I don't understand people who say that it's a lesser Miyazaki movie. Everybody has their own opinions. This one is way up there for me. I guess it's my third or fourth favorite Miyazaki film. It's just so fun, so heartfelt. The animation is amazing. The characters are lovable. Never watch the Disney dub on this, though. It will completely ruin the film for you if... well, maybe it won't, but I thought it was terrible. My wife and I saw this in theaters together, and we had to see it in the English dub, because we lived in a smaller town at the time, and the Japanese track wasn't an option. It was nice to see it in the theaters, but we had to leave at the end because the song in the end credits, Disney turned into this, like, auto-tune nightmare. But, yeah, wonderful film. Ponyo, that's what they call it here. It's one of the reasons why I recommend ignoring that English dub. The Borrower Arietti, or just Arietti. This is the first Ghibli film directed by Hiromasa Yonebayashi. Just a wonderful film. I can't recommend it highly enough. And, again, this is one of the younger directors that they were preening to sort of take over the studio one day, I think. And, unfortunately, I don't believe he is with the studio anymore right now, though nobody is with the studio right now because they're not making movies at the moment. Okay, from Up on Poppy Hill, this is Goro Miyazaki's second film. It's much better than Tales from Earthsea. It's another one of those neo-realist slice-of-life films. And, you know, it's about some kids that fall in love, and, you know, one of those things that's very nostalgic for Japanese people. I'm not Japanese. I've never lived in Japan. In the 1960s, I believe, is when this takes place. But I still love it. And, yeah, I think, yeah, just an excellent addition to their catalog. The Wind Rises. This is supposedly Hayao Miyazaki's final feature-length film. Anyway, he's working on a CG short now for the Ghibli Museum. It's a great film, but it's not like any of the others, of the other Hayao Miyazaki films. There's not a whole lot of, like, you know, magic in it, like in a lot of his other films. It's almost like autobiographical in a way. Even though it's not about Miyazaki, I think he was inspired by his father to make this movie. And, you know, a lot of the way that he writes the main character is, I guess, to honor his father. So, by the way, yes, Emily, I have a Wikipedia listing up for the films here, just so I don't forget the names of some of the other directors. Anyway, this is a good movie. I think I probably said it was great once already. It's a little bit more challenging than some of the others. If you are used to Hayao Miyazaki's movies being all about magic and you know, fantastical things that you could hardly dream of, this is not necessarily that movie. It's about the director. It's about the designer of the Zero fighter plane, and Jiro Horikoshi. I can't remember his name. I'm not a history major, but it's a good movie. History major? I'm not in college anymore. I'm not a history buff. That's what I meant to say. And then The Tale of the Princess Kaguya. Kaguya. The Tale of the Princess Kaguya. This is so far Isao Takahata's final film. All I can say about it is that it's my favorite Studio Ghibli film. Princess Mononoke was my favorite Studio Ghibli film for 15 years, something like that, until I saw this movie, and it just completely blew me away. I'm a little older now. I'm not, like, you know, I think about different things in my life than I was at the time of seeing Princess Mononoke, so I guess the older you get, the more this will mean to you, but yeah, it's just a wonderful film. Everybody please see this movie, buy it. Pay the expensive import dollars. It's well worth your money. And then we have what is, as of right now, the final Studio Ghibli film. This is the second one, directed by Yonebayashi. I'm not sure if I like this less or more than Arrietty, but it's just another wonderful film about a girl who develops a friendship from an unlikely source, and yeah, I can't really say much more than that without spoiling the movie, but I know my wife likes this more than Arrietty, and she likes Arrietty quite a bit, so yeah, this is the last Studio Ghibli film so far. Came out just about a year ago in theaters in Japan, not too long ago on Blu-ray. Again, if the studio doesn't release any more movies, this is probably a good way to go out. Okay, I have just one more thing to show you here, and that's, as you can see, it's just what all these discs look like laid out chronologically on my tiny ass desk together. And the reason I'm giving you this fun bonus footage, wow, that was lame. The reason I'm giving you this bonus footage is because while I consider my collection complete, there is actually something I don't have, which is a double release of these two movies together. As I mentioned earlier, Grave of the Fireflies and My Neighbor Totoro were released together theatrically. And when these came out on Blu-ray, they released them individually and as a double pack that featured both of them. It was a white case, and I believe it clasps together similarly to this. I don't know because I don't have it, and I don't remember from the pictures that I've seen online. The reason I didn't buy it is because the discs included are exactly the same as the discs inside these individual releases. Other than that, it was just like a reprint of a theater program that was distributed when the movies came out. So I don't have that. I guess that makes me lame. If you want to buy it for me, send me an email or a DM in the Studio Ghibli import discussion thread on Blu-ray.com, which I will link to later, and I will happily accept a donation of it. Otherwise, I'm not going to buy it. But yeah, you can see why these are so appealing to collectors. They're just gorgeous. Definitely the pride of my Blu-ray collection. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed the video I've put together for you today, and if you want to know more about any of these releases, I highly recommend the Studio Ghibli import discussion thread over at Blu-ray.com, where we've been talking about these releases together for the past 5 years. Seriously, any questions you might have, where to buy them, how to save on shipping, customs fees, anything like that, me or somebody else will be happy to answer those questions for you. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.